Yo, what is up, everyone? My name is Dom, and we're here to talk about two stocks that I'm trading right now. Let's jump right into it. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only. The statements made in this programming are solely the opinion of the show and are not a specific inducement to make an investment. One must perform their own due diligence and realize that all investments carry risk. There's no guarantee of profit. Okay, first one I want to talk about is BBAI is the ticker symbol. Now, this is an extremely speculative stock here. It is a micro cap stock. It used to be a SPAC. It's called Big Bear AI. Now, with all this AI hype going on in the market here, what we're doing today is doing some scans. We saw that there was about 8,800 of these contracts being traded, open interest of about 646. So we like to follow institutional traders placing big trades in the options market, preferably short term, so then it's most likely not a hedge, although it could be a hedge if the stock is shorted a lot. By the judge of this hard to borrow here, I imagine it definitely is a heavily shorted stock. So we saw some institutional traders coming in here. This is deep end of the pool. This is very speculative here. This stock moves a lot. It's a microcap stock. So just be aware this trade is not for everybody. These calls expire next Friday. So these people that are buying these, I expect BBAI to have a pretty substantial run very soon. These are very short-term calls. We need these to work out either tomorrow and be out or next week, Monday or Tuesday. By then, if the stock has not made a move, these calls will be worthless because of the time decay. Options are a decaying asset. They decay over time. So let's take a look at the chart here. If it loads. Cool. So if you take a look here, this stock has kind of been getting some let me pull these down, some very short-term support here around this 235 level. We're at about 242, as you can see here. But as you can just see from the chart, this stock is extremely volatile. Went from 58 cents, had a huge run up to 386, came down, ran up to almost $7 here, had a substantial pullback, and has kind of just been consolidating a little bit here. But you can see we have some short-term support here at about this 235 level. So I like the chart here. I like where the company is at. I think there might be a little bit of a bubble forming in this market for anything that has to do with AI. This has been recognized as an AI stock, but this one could have a substantial move if a lot of people decide to pile in here because it's a micro cap stock. So I'm looking for these calls to make a nice move up here, and we'll see what happens. So we're in this trade, and we will see what happens. Next one I want to bring up is Shopify. Now, this is a less speculative stock for sure, but deep end of the pool here because these calls expire. You can see we have a position on here. These calls expire next week. So same as the last ones that we were just looking at, but this is SHOP. Is the ticker. Shopify. You can see it was not up a whole lot today. I like the chart. We'll take a look at that in a second. But you can see there's a ton of calls trading here, even for these calls that expire tomorrow. There's a ton of volume here. Not so much volume on the put side. There's a ton of calls here being traded for these next week ones that I got in the 64 strike. There's not a lot of volume relatively at all for these puts here on the other side. So I like to see a lot of calls trading, specifically buys. And if there's not a lot of puts trading, that makes my conviction even higher for this trade. If we take a look at the chart here, it had a really good quarter. This stock has fallen a huge amount. You can see that it's still down a lot from its highs. But just taking a look over here, it looks like we have some overhead resistance here at about 74. Even goes back to around this level. This was back right after 2019, so beginning of 2020, right after the pandemic. So we do have some resistance here at the 74 level, but other than that, there's really no resistance on this stock. Maybe in the 70s here, at 70, definitely around 74, so mid 70s. There's definitely some resistance. You can see here we had a good earnings report from Shopify here. We had a big jump up. I like that we had some follow through a few days after, and we've come down to about this 59 level from about this 64 level. So we've had a nice 5-point pullback here. Stock is still significantly off its highs, not saying it deserved to be there in the first place, but there's a lot of room to run here. I'm seeing some resistance at about 74 here. So I really like that there was follow through on the good earnings. There was a pullback, which is natural. And now you can see here, we're kind of making a little bit of a turn here. We're kind of bottoming out here. So I think this stock could have some good upside here up into the 70s. We zoom out a little bit. So the chart is very important. Learning technical analysis is super important because sometimes you see these trades and sometimes you don't know much about the company and you got to rely, just do some quick fundamental research. A lot of people don't even do that. A lot of people just look at the chart, technical analysis, figure it out. I like that all the moving averages here. We had a crossover. The 200-day is now sloping up. The 50-day has been sloping up. So we had that classic golden cross, the 200-day crossing the 50-day. And I like to see that the 50-day, the 100-day, the 150-day, and the 200-day are all stacking perfectly. Good momentum here. The MACD is looking good. We came down from an overbought level here. The on-balance volume is trending up. I really like this trade a lot. I put a pretty substantial position on and Shopify calls. We're in the next week, 64 strike. Let's double check that. Next week, 64 strike. Big institutional traders coming in. Also in the 63, the 65 calls. So I like this one a lot. This would be one where I would roll it up. So if the stock makes a nice move, I would take profits and I'd roll up to maybe the 65 calls or the 66 calls and just keep riding this one because I really like this trade a lot, especially after taking a look at the chart earlier. I decided this would definitely be a good one to put some money down on. So thanks for everyone who's been liking the videos. Make sure to like the videos. If you enjoyed the content, so I don't keep making more videos like this, let me know if you want me to talk less about the options and more just about trading strategy and kind of levels on the chart and stuff. I really appreciate the feedback. Make sure to consider subscribing if you like the content. I really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one.